Our favorite boy genius is back after the mid-season break, and we're all so ready for the laughs and the cozy evenings that's going to bring. The plotline for the rest of the season and his brand new billion-dollar project, the Grand Database. And while we're very excited to see how that will unfold, it might just lead to a possible plot hole in connection to its parent show. So let's find out what's what. First off, let's talk about Dr. Sturgis, shall we? Young Sheldon showcases a number of well-rounded characters that have won our hearts time and time again. Dr. Sturgis is your run-of-the-mill, slightly balding old guy who's also the sweetest we know. Whether when he was with Meemaw or teaching Sheldon or simply being an extended member of the clan, he's always been a joy to have around. You have to admit, Dr. John Sturgis is young Sheldon's most underappreciated character. He first became Sheldon's pen pal and then became our young genius's one and only mentor. But it seems that might not be the case if the show continues down this path. It's not exactly going to end well from the looks of it. Sadly, young Sheldon is leading up to a plot hole that will be pretty damaging to our Dr. Sturgis. Now let's talk about the plot hole. Initially, we all thought our guy here might have fizzled out after the breakup, but he didn't. Then we thought he was a total goner after the university let him go, but that didn't happen. Finally, we thought he would disappear after the man got fired from the supermarket, but he didn't. We almost had it all figured out that young Sheldon was going in a new family drama direction after George and Mandy got pregnant. And for good reason too. Dr. Sturgis had only made one appearance in season 6, a fleeting glimpse of him teaching once more at Sheldon's institution. But our lovable professor made a strong comeback in College Dropouts and the Medford Miracle. For Sheldon's database project, he needed a partner and decided on Dr. Sturgis. Now the project's outcome is still uncertain, but we still saw some progress after Cooper's decision to work with Dr. Sturgis. Since no one would take him seriously due to his age when he went looking for investors on his own, he turned to Dr. Sturgis for assistance, who genuinely supported him, and it was a total treat to see Sheldon and his original instructor working together once more after being apart for a number of seasons. So where does the plot hole enter? Well, it's a common concern with prequels if you've noticed. The spin-off is rarely able to completely justify the proceedings of the parent show, and we can see it happening with young Sheldon as well. Next, the Dr. Sturgis discrepancy. We've already established that Dr. Sturgis is one of Sheldon's most significant early teachers, so it's safe to say that the man had a crucial role in his path ahead. Now it's true we never see him pop up in the Big Bang Theory when Sheldon achieves his life goal, which is to receive the Nobel Peace Prize, which we see him receive on the final episode of the Big Bang Theory. What follows is where the discrepancy lies. We watch as Sheldon Cooper specifically thanks his family and friends in his winning speech, but he leaves out Dr. Sturgis. Now that would have been understandable if the doctor had remained a supporting character for young Sheldon, but now that he has returned to his role as a crucial mentor for Sheldon, there really is no excuse as to why he wasn't honored in the award speech. In fact, for the mentor we know him to be, it's plain disrespectful, don't you think? So perhaps young Sheldon might wind up with a large plot hole unless Sheldon and Dr. Sturgis have a major falling out. But we don't want that either, do we? Coming up, could the two have a falling out? We've seen time and time again how well the duo gets along. Sheldon reminded Dr. Sturgis of himself and shared that he enjoyed hanging around with intelligent people. But then again, common sense isn't always a sign of intelligence, is it? The two aren't a package deal, and we've seen how the database project has already brought out the greed in many of our characters. Whether it was the president of the university, Dr. Linkletter, we see a tense exchange between all of them before the little guy decides to ditch them all. So perhaps, and it breaks our hearts to say this, the database might lead to issues between these two as well and end on a falling out? What do you guys think? Following up, how is this a plot hole? The Big Bang Theory's finale plot hole involving the Nobel Peace Prize has just become worse thanks to Sheldon's new young Sheldon narrative. The current narrative only serves to highlight the long-standing young Sheldon plot hole in relation to the Big Bang Theory finale with Sheldon winning the Nobel Prize. Prize. Sheldon and Amy Super's asymmetry paper overcame quite a few obstacles to win the Nobel Peace Prize in physics for string theory. For Sheldon, it was his lifelong dream finding its conclusion. Although none of the Coopers weren't present at the awards ceremony in Sweden, the socially awkward genius didn't forget to express gratitude to them. He also expressed gratitude to the Pasadena gang, but it appears that he overlooked a crucial step in his scientific career, Dr. Sturgis, who inspired him to pursue physics in the first place. He ought to have been thanked in the Big Bang Theory finale, as evidenced by the Sheldon and Dr. Sturgis story. It was because of the professor being at East Texas Tech that Mary gave Sheldon permission to start college early. After all, we did see some ups and downs for our old man, but things settled down soon enough. Now, as the two collaborate on the grant database, Dr. Sturgis not only shows that he's back at East Texas Tech, but also he'll always keep Sheldon's best interests in mind. That just makes things worse for the Nobel Prize winner to not pay a tribute in his acceptance speech. Now a possible lifeline. Well, yes, it's horrible and sensitive and just sad that our boy genius doesn't mention Dr. Sturgis in his moment of pride, but then again, it's Sheldon. You know, our guy here isn't a normal person. The man can still be ignorant despite his superior intellect. It's what he's known for. The season finale is the premise of the last episode. This leaves him open to those like Dr. Linkletter and East Texas Tech president Hagemeyer, who didn't sincerely care about him, but instead wished to capitalize on his genius for fame and gain. Sheldon may have been so wary and skeptical due to his experiences working on his grant database project. Perhaps the later narratives might even become the cause of contracts like the roommate agreement and his great love for litigation. But the man simply didn't mention his OG mentor. Because he's Sheldon, and Dr. Sturgis would forgive him too, simply because he's Dr. Sturgis. More on that, let's talk about the link between the two shows. CBS wasn't intentionally linking the shows together despite existing in the same world. Young Sheldon was just in its second season at the time, thus bringing up a character from the prequel who wasn't featured or addressed in the main sitcom would have confused viewers. This was confirmed by Young Sheldon's showrunner, Steve Malaro, who stated that their primary objective was to respect the Big Bang Theory's past. It didn't feel like the right time to bring up particular Young Sheldon personalities. There hasn't been any indication of an explanation for the whole thing in the universe, but perhaps Young Sheldon will in the future, so we'll just have to see what goes down later. Now let's talk about the show's progressing. Young Sheldon has always been a wholehearted comedy, but the plot is about to take a depressing new turn. Our favorite show has had several seasons to maintain its pace and find its footing. We watched as Sheldon Cooper spent his days attempting to survive in a society where no one matched his intellect. He finished school remarkably quickly as a result, and then spent most of his time with people who were considerably older than him. Of course, dealing with issues outside of his age group or area expertise provides some very amusing moments for the boy genius. None of that, though, is going to prepare him, or us, for the adult issues that the Cooper family began to experience in the later half of season 5. Even though the choice to fire George as the football coach at the high school was reasonable, the man wasn't that great at his job. But of course, it reflected with financial difficulty for the Coopers. Additionally, Georgie, who's beginning to resemble his follow-up counterpart, went and got Mandy pregnant, making the entire family an outcast in church. That, coupled with the upcoming cheating plotline, is just evidence of how young Sheldon is transitioning from comedy to tragedy. Lastly, let's talk about George. The Cooper family situation appeared to be pretty dire at the beginning of season 6. Mandy had no desire to associate with Georgie because he was going to become a father. Then we saw the one picture-perfect white picket fence marriage fall apart, perhaps softening the blow or foreshadowing what's coming for the Coopers as well, but still are weak hearts. The present coach was in ruins after his wife left him, so following a significant victory as a stand-in coach, the principal requested George to return to a full-time position. Although George Cooper's impending death was not officially confirmed, it has felt as though things have been moving in that way for the whole 6th season. Fans anticipated that George's passing would be the catastrophe that brought the family together before it broke apart prior to the Big Bang Theory, because the situation appeared to be so hopeless. As great as it may sound, fans are naturally saddened by the fact that things are improving. kind of a last hurrah. If we're being honest, many viewers may just be hoping the show breaks canon and proceeds on its own, but that causes problems of its own, doesn't it? To find out exactly what's about to go down, tune in on Thursdays at 8 p.m. on CBS. See you there. That's a wrap. Let us know in the comments below what you think of the plot hole. Major big deal or meh? Make sure you give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you at the next one.